All right. Well, welcome to the Nurse Leader Lounge. I'm excited to be here with you guys today and have a guest that I had the joy of meeting back at the International Council for Nursing Congress last July. And I think maybe we saw each other at Magnet too. I can't remember, but I know we've seen each other once or twice at various events, and it's always been great to talk with you. And I really wanted to have Kay on the show because every time we've talked, we have talked about leadership and our passion for developing leaders. So I just thought it was a perfect alignment talking about what you help leaders do today. And, the Nurse Leader Lounges, I help, find ways to enhance and develop leaders that I get the privilege of coming in contact with as well. So welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks so much. I'm happy to
Yeah.
be here in the lounge with you.
Absolutely. Well, I figured I'd just let you sort of kick off and tell people a little bit about yourself and uLeadership.
Thanks, Amy. Okay, well, I've been a nurse for, I think it's actually 40 years,
Oh,
which
wow.
sounds like an eternity, but it's been just a fabulous journey. I've been a leader from the bedside to the CNO position. And in 2020, I got together with a couple colleagues and we embarked on a journey that we never knew where it would end and or where it would take us. And
Right.
it's been an exciting trip for sure. I love leadership. I love teaching and growing teams and helping people to just be their best and be creative and innovative. Um, our team is called uLeadership, and we named ourselves uLeadership because we really believe that leadership starts with you,
Mhm.
but it's not about you. So
Yeah.
it starts with your own understanding of yourself and the wellness, the well-being of the leader themselves, and then leading in this outward relational approach that really takes into can't think of the word that really reflects complexity
Right.
and systems thinking. So
Mhm.
being able to lead in this relational way is really what uLeadership and human-centered leadership is all about.
Yeah, I love that quote. That's one of the first things that stuck out to me when I went to the uLeadership website was it starts with you, but it's not about you. And that resonated with me a lot because I've always thought of my style as a servant leader. I'm here to remove the barriers, grow the people, make sure that the things are happening, right? And yes, if we don't have that emotional intelligence, that growth centered mindset, all of those pieces, we can't then lead that team to be their best. So I love that quote. And it was actually one of the first things I wrote down. So I'm so glad you said it.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Amy. It is so true. And when I was in the CNO position, I was really working so many hours trying to um, just accomplish everything that I thought would help our team to be their best. And I truly considered myself, just as you, a servant leader. And what I found is in this way of being a servant leader, I was really serving myself into burnout. I was not my best
Right.
as I was trying so hard to do everything,
Mhm.
being the first to get there, the last to go home, day after day. It didn't really serve my team as well as I really wanted to. And it's because I was leaving myself out of the equation. Just
Yes.
didn't have time for it, you know?
So important.
So I think that is where I really connected with my two colleagues, Lucy LeClaire and Susan Campus, because we were all three in a similar situation in executive leadership positions and feeling like there must be something that we were missing, something we were lacking that could make us the effective leader in healthcare that we wanted to be. Of course, we were effective, but we were not, we were not totally fulfilled
Yes.
because we weren't taking care of ourselves at the same time as we were leading in this servant-oriented approach.
Yes, I completely agree. I've learned as I've grown through the years that I have a bit of a different philosophy on leadership style from a traditional show up, be here from 6 or 7 a.m. until 6 or 7 p.m., 5 days a week, ground on some weekends, come in on some night shifts, and you just don't realize how exhausted you are. And then so many leaders, including myself in the past, we didn't want to delegate things. Everyone's so busy. I'll just do it. I can do it better myself. It would take too long to explain. So we were trying to be there for everybody, be everything for everyone, and do all the things. And what finally hit me was A, I was stealing opportunities from other people to grow. B, could not
Absolutely.
sustain, like you said, burned out, tired, exhausted, not there for my family. So therefore feeling very unfulfilled. And there's always a list 20 miles long. You're never going to get it all
You're
done.
never, ever gonna get it done. So that is so true, Amy. What our team decided to do when we came together, I knew both Lucy and Susan from different organizations where I had the opportunity to work with them. And when we came together and found this commonality between us, we decided to do a research study. And Lucy is really an expert in qualitative research. And so we embarked on a study that used a methodology called constructivist grounded theory. And basically, that just means we were out there trying to name something that we thought existed but didn't have a name. And what we were trying to name is what is it that makes the most effective leader in healthcare? Not just in nursing, in all of healthcare. And we were able to meet with nurse leaders from the bedside to the CNO position. And through the process of, asking them standard questions, each group, we were able to get information that once we coded it, pulled it together, we were able to really determine 4 dimensions of this leader that was the most effective, was the type of leader that these nurses from the bedside to the boardroom wanted. And what that was, I thought, just so interesting that whether the nurses were at the bedside or whether they were CNOs, they had the same idea of that leader that meant so much to them, that was so effective. And so the way we got to that is we just asked them, describe the leader you've had that you would follow to the ends of the earth. And it created such wonderful dialogue. And it also was so good for the people that we were talking with because they wanted to be heard when it came to this type of, their insight, and they were thrilled to be asked. We also asked them to describe the leader that had made them want to leave a position or nursing altogether. And that was the part that was really heartbreaking because so many people have had that experience. I mean, people started to cry. People were so empathetic and supportive to each other. So it was, I don't know, I think it was just really meaningful to us to hear that, to know how important it is to present this other side, present what it is that makes a leader effective in healthcare. And how can we communicate that and get it across so that teams can approach leadership, in a similar way to create this environment where outcomes emerge.
Absolutely. I love that. And I know that as part of your human-centered care that's developed from all of that research, and immediately my mind went straight to a story of my first leader as a brand
Yeah.
new baby nurse that I left that job because of her. And it was a job that was super hard. I didn't leave. I mean, I was on an oncology unit with patients who were passing away. Our ratios were like 1 to 10, 1 to 11 on night shift. We'd have 3 nurses for 33 patients or 30 patients. And half the time they'd want to pull our tech. And that wasn't why I left. I left because I didn't feel supported by the leader. And it wasn't a relationship I had. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't seem to care. She was checking boxes. So I'm sure that walks right into those dimensions you're talking about. You want to talk a little bit about the 4 dimensions you found?
Yes, I do. And that is so true what you're saying, because especially, Amy, if you think about some of our managers at the bedside who are so burdened with so many tasks they have to do, they start to almost think that their job is to check boxes, is to do these tasks.
Yes.
And instead, what we're about is really empowering and equipping managers to become leaders, to recognize the influence they have to truly create this environment where the staff and the patients can thrive.
Right.
So, but back to the 4 dimensions.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
first one is self. In our model, it's circular, and the leader is actually in the center. And the whole idea there is that the leader's embedded in the work. It's shows the influence of complex adaptive systems. The leader is there in the work as opposed to in a traditional leadership model where the leader's above the system.
Right.
So the leader is embedded in the work, and the leader is recognizing the importance of their own well-being.
Mhm.
And when I say well-being, it's so much more than just feeling good. It's also understanding self-awareness, knowing not only how you think about yourself, but also how others are seeing you. So you can line those things up and be
Right.
really effective with your intentions and your behaviors.
Mhm.
And it's about being self-compassionate when you make a mistake, being able to deal with that, and then being able to move on, to talk to yourself like you do your best friend instead of in a more judgmental way like we sometimes do. And then another part of this being focused on yourself is understanding mindfulness. And when I say that, I'm not really speaking about meditation or any spiritual or secular practice. I'm talking about being present in the moment so that you could develop these deep relationships with people by truly listening and being present.
Yes.
And as a mindful leader, not only do you develop the collaborative benefits of strong relationships, but
Mhm.
you also develop the benefit of being able to make great decisions, better informed decisions, because you're getting more perspectives. You're interested in what others are saying, and you're there connected with them, hearing what they have to say and understanding their perspective. So all of
John,
that is wrapped up in the first dimension.
right. And John Maxwell says that I think sums it all up. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's
And
exactly
when you're
right.
not having that, you're thinking about the next thing you have to do. You're not truly engaging. You're not there and understanding. Yeah, I totally get that. I love that present in the moment. Such
That's
important.
exactly, it's so true, because I think new leaders that I have worked with will typically have that running list in their mind of everything they need to accomplish in that day or in that hour. And it's really not a way to effectively lead,
Right.
because it doesn't enhance your influence if your mind is working on something else while you're present in a meeting or in some interaction,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
So that's the first part. It starts with you. And then the second part is about relational leadership. It's not about you. It's about getting results through relationships. And it's really the three outward dimensions. We gave names that we thought really kind of personalized these dimensions. And the first one is the awakener. And what that idea really came from Robert Frost and his quote, "I'm not a teacher, I'm an awakener." And so that idea is that, if we as leaders are looking for excellence, we're going to see it. And then we're going to be able to support and grow that excellence. So it's really about coming along beside people and helping them to accomplish their professional goals, being a mentor and a coach and an advocate, and designing a infrastructure where they can accomplish the goals that they have. I think, in today's environment, it is so important for nurses coming out of nursing school to know that they're in an environment where they can grow. Their leader is for them and is going to provide them opportunities to grow and learn more and do more. And as individuals are doing that, then the environment becomes one that is about delivering on excellence. It's really about individuals becoming their best and the team together excelling when it comes to quality outcomes, patient safety,
Right.
and just professional growth.
I
So
love that awakener because, that's one of the first things I loved doing as a young manager was figuring out who else needed to grow, and seeing that opportunity and that, potential and saying, how can I help them realize that potential? Because I had people do that for me, and say, hey, you could do this, and go, really? I never thought about that, And yeah,
exactly.
that's awesome.
Exactly. We like to say that it's a language that says, "I believe in you."
Yes.
And that I think really says a lot about supporting the individuals.
Right. I agree. I agree.
Are
Well,
you,
good. So,
can I
yeah,
stop just a minute? Are you hearing my dog barking?
no, not at all.
Okay, I'm sorry, it threw me off, but yeah, he's going
No,
crazy.
you're good. Mine are the
Okay,
same way. Don't worry about it at all.
okay, well, we'll go back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. No. So the third dimension, so we've got relational leadership, we've got the self, and that leader is self. And so your third dimension then is
the connector. And this is that dimension of leadership that's really focused on bringing the team together. We like to say that the connector brings unity to the community. And just like you were saying, you naturally feel inclination towards being an awakener. For me, it's the connector and just trying to bring a team together around the shared goals, the shared vision. And through that, really valuing the input of the different members on the team. The culture that we're trying to create, the context that we are wanting to influence here is that I don't have to have all the answers as the leader because I work with the team of experts.
yeah.
And so I can trust them.
Mhm.
And so by trusting the experts at the bedside, we're going to have creative, innovative solutions that come together that help us to improve our processes and help us to improve the care that we're delivering. Um, it's it's really just a way to embrace this idea of trusting others and not feeling so much like you have to have all the answers.
Yes. I thought trust was the first word that came to my mind when you talked about unity and all, because we can't do it all, right? And we have to trust our team is going to do the right things at the right times and hold each other accountable, which is more powerful than me trying to do that as a leader quite often, right? So,
Oh,
yeah, that's such an
definitely.
important concept. I love that.
You're exactly right, Amy. And
Yeah.
so then the last dimension is the upholder. And that is the dimension that is really focused on recognizing the humanity in each person, in their self and in each person. And with this, I kind of like to think about it as just really connecting and having a relationship with team members. We know that especially our younger nurses in the workforce right now, they want and expect a relationship with their leader.
Mhm.
And the upholder is all about really the modeling and the mentoring even of this idea of prioritizing well-being and recognizing the importance of work-life integration
Yes.
so that you can be fulfilled in your work, you can feel cared about as a team member. And when that happens, it's just that ripple effect that occurs. If you
Yes.
feel cared about, if you know you're in a caring environment, then our patients are naturally going to feel that as well.
Yes.
And so that creates this culture of caring. And we have actually started to see outcomes related to improved patient experience as a result of hospitals that have implemented human-centered leadership in healthcare. And that's so exciting because that is not an easy metric to move.
No, not at all.
So
Yeah.
I feel like, of course, staff satisfaction and patient experience, they go hand in hand. They go together. And it's an environment, it's a culture that allows that to happen. It's not an initiative that comes down from the top that everybody micromanages. It's the
Yeah.
environment that
Yes.
creates that. I'm sure
Yes.
you agree with that.
Oh, I completely agree. I was rounding probably a month or two ago now with one of our CNOs at one of the hospitals. And it was so great because she could walk up to pretty much anyone on the unit. And when she introduced them to you, it wasn't just, hey, this is Kay. It was, this is Kay. She is the chair of our council. She does this, this, and this. And she's so amazing. I love Kay. And she did that with every person we walked up to and talked to. So you could tell that there was that connection. And because she knew them, they knew her, and there was trust. And so if
Exactly.
I go to Kay now and say, Kay, we really need to focus on such and such, you're bought in, right? Because I know you, I know what you're doing, I know what's happening, and you know me, and we're all in this together. It was just it's such a profound experience when you can tell leaders take the time to know their people.
It really is because, it also not only does it help contribute to our outcomes and our goals, but it helps someone to belong, to know
Yes.
that they belong there
Yeah.
and to be fulfilled because,
Right.
as nurses, we typically have a strong why within us. We're there to impact the lives of patients.
Absolutely.
And when we know that we're in a place where we can be ourselves, where our voice is heard and our perspective is valued, all of that just leads to creating this space where we're gonna be really engaged and fulfilled in our role, in our job. And
Right.
once we get that,
Yes.
so many positive things come from it.
Absolutely. I was studying Brene Brown earlier this year, and she has some great segments you can find on, Instagram or YouTube or
Oh,
anything where she
sure.
talks about that fitting in versus belonging. And fitting in is trying to become, like high school days. Let me
Oh,
become like the
yeah.
cool kids, right?
I'm wearing the
Whereas
right
belonging,
clothes.
exactly, right hair, right clothes, whatever it may be. Whereas belonging was truly being appreciated for being who you are and what you bring to the table, which I think is so much what your upholder domain is. Let me value, well, your upholder and your connector, where it's, let me
Exactly.
value your input, let me uphold who you are as a person and value that.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. I
And that's
really,
such a different place to be, right? Belonging for who I am versus just, hey, I fit in because I'm a good nurse. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Um, I ran into or came across rather a very cool thing the other day, and it is from a woman who is a professor at Harvard. Her name is Frances Fry,
Mhm.
and she developed a tool to sort of assess whether or not your organization is truly practicing inclusivity,
Yeah,
which, would lead to hopefully the feeling of belonging.
right.
And so she calls it an inclusivity dial. And
Okay.
so I'm thinking of it as this dial like your gas tank on your car.
Right.
And the first section over here is safe. The environment is safe for different perspectives.
Mhm.
And then the next section is you're welcome here. We welcome diversity. We welcome different perspectives. But then it gets a little bit deeper and it says we celebrate. We celebrate different perspectives and differences between us because we know that is our strategy for dealing with this complex environment.
Mhm.
And then lastly, if you get all the way to the full tank, that is cherished. And I just love that word
Oh,
cherished
yeah. Yeah.
because to feel cherished is to
Right.
feel free,
Yeah. Yeah.
free to be who you are. And so I just love that idea of let's not just make the environment safe for different perspectives. Let's cherish those
Yeah.
different perspectives and use that as our strategy in this world in healthcare that's being described as VUCA, volatile,
Yes.
uncertain,
Yes.
complex, and ambiguous.
Right.
So we need inclusivity. We need our team members to be cherished if we are going to be able to have a strategy that will work in this environment.
Oh, for sure.
The old strategies don't work anymore.
And it's very true. And people come and they go, well, I need a class on generations. And I'm like, well, do you though? I mean, yes, there are definitely some things. I'm certainly not going to try the slang, but you know, do they really just want to know you care about them and understand their values may be different from yours? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, at the end of the day, that may be generational or it may be individual. It could be
Exactly.
cultural. There are a number of different ways, but how do you figure out what that is and connect with that?
That's so right. I love the way you're saying that. It's kind of like speaking, communicating with people who speak a different language, but doing it in a way that it's really the love that comes across
Right.
that makes the connection. And
Yes.
so, no matter what generation, no matter what ethnicity or gender,
Right.
it's about accepting each other and
Right.
really cherishing the value that each person can bring.
Right.
I like to say there's no problem in healthcare that's simple enough that one perspective can come up with a solution for.
So true.
No, it's just
So,
not possible. It
yeah,
it requires this collaborative thinking that really
yeah,
leverages our different
yeah,
experiences and intelligence
right.
and expertise.
Right. Yeah, that's why I thought shared governance is so important because, I could sit up here in my office and make a policy all day, and it's not going to work when it gets to the bedside.
Exactly.
I could have the best intention, I could have the best thoughts, I could have looked up all the literature, I could have pulled together an evidence-based practice bundle, and it doesn't matter because when we get to the bedside, they go, listen, that's cute, but it's not going to work, or you're going to have to tweak this, this, and this. So I love the
Exactly.
approach where we go, okay, do I have all the generations here? Do I have all the shifts here? Do I have, all the different, is there diversity here? What does this look
Exactly.
like? Who are the true stakeholders? And now as a team, let's put this together because then I don't have to go back and revisit and revise that policy 35 times because I just didn't get it right from my perspective, you know?
Exactly. And not only by including the other perspectives, do you get a better result,
Right.
but you also say to all of the members on the team that you value their perspective,
Yes.
right? So it's a double win.
Right.
And for that reason, the result is better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we like to think about the awakener as building that invisible structure so that people can come together through shared governance and can explore new ways to do things, apply best practices, grow best practices,
Yeah.
and really create that learning environment. You know,
Absolutely.
Amy, one thing I've been thinking about this morning, even, is that psychological safety and human-centered leadership in healthcare, they are so intricately interconnected. It's like you have to have both, because if you want to have this culture of excellence where people are continuously learning, where you've got a high bar, but people know that they can get there through learning and even smart failures, it you have to have an environment where people aren't afraid, where they feel free
Yes.
to be their self, to bring their ideas forward, to disagree with
Right.
someone
Right.
who maybe has authority, to be free to share a different perspective and not have that looked at as disrespect
Right.
or uncalled for. It should be welcome and cherished, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Absolutely. I agree. And I love that approach and thought to it. And, I just have to call out, you've got some great resources on your site. I was going back through it again this morning in
oh, thank you.
preparation for the call. So you've got your publications, there's several articles, and there's even your assessment.
That's right.
That is really a great tool and that's free for people. It looks like anyone could come in and take this assessment.
It is, absolutely. And as soon as you submit your responses on that assessment, you'll get your results. And one thing I really want to say about that assessment is, first of all, it has been shown to be both reliable and valid by an independent psychometrician. It's only 20 questions. And what it does is it really helps you identify where you are with regard to these different dimensions. And we
Yes.
know that some people naturally are inclined towards one of the dimensions, just like you said. You really are seeing the awakener in yourself, and for me, I see the connector. Our colleague Susan is upholder through and through. And what we see is that this is not a personality test, but instead it's a way to learn more about yourself, self-awareness, to say, okay, this is where I naturally feel really comfortable when I'm leading a team and I'm bringing that team together and I'm relying on them to bring their creativity. That's me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that healthcare is so relational
Yes.
that we also need to be helping those team members grow professionally. We also need to be helping them to be included and to belong and, and to mentor and model for them what wellness looks like and
Yes.
how you can take care of yourself and still be fully present in and fully engaged in the work that you're doing. And
Absolutely.
also, you know, self, we find that everyone scores very low on the different components, the 5 questions about self. So
Yes.
it's just kind of eye-opening to see that even if we think we're taking good care of ourselves, there's probably still opportunity there to go a little deeper with it.
Oh, absolutely. I was scrolling through the little videos that, pop up on your Instagram last night, and one that popped up was actually about that self-compassion. And it was so funny because they were like, so how do you act when someone else screws up? Oh, we give them grace, we give them compassion. How do you act when you screw up? No, I screwed up. What happened? What? And it was hilarious, but also true, because that's exactly
Very
what we
true.
do, right? We don't give ourselves that same grace. And one of my favorite things to tell new and upcoming leaders or people when they change to a new role, you have to give yourself permission to be bad at something new. You know, you've
Exactly.
because it's going to take a little growth. You're going to screw it up a few times. We all are going to make mistakes. I still do today. Please
Absolutely.
don't think I'm perfect, right? So yeah,
Absolutely.
we've got
And
to give ourselves that permission and grace.
exactly. We really love to help people understand more fully what a reflective practice is all about.
Yes.
We actually developed a journal for nurses called Shifts, and it is a way to reflect on a situation on your day where you reflect in the SBAR format.
Yes.
So you're debriefing with yourself in the language we all know so well.
Yes.
And it's really great because I know for myself, when I sit down and follow this format, what I come away with is a sense of accomplishment.
Mhm.
You know, even if it was a situation where I didn't, you know, I wish I would have done something differently, or I wish I would have said something differently. After going through this SBAR format process of reflection, I feel like I've accomplished something because I know what I'm going to do differently next time.
Yes.
And it,
Learning through reflective learning, let me try that again, is so important. I actually had that experience myself once where I really messed up in communicating with one of the teams as a CNO, and it really broke the trust between me and that team. And, when I sat back and really said, okay, what did I do wrong? There were a number of lessons I took away from that and it was critical. It was a critical thing for me to learn. And, it was a really, really hard lesson. Ultimately, I didn't stay in that position partly because of that communication and that work with that team. But it was probably ultimately one of the best things that happened to me because I learned so much from it. And I completely changed the way did some things and how I communicate and my approach to that communication because of what I learned. So I think, you don't fail if you learn, and that's such an important point.
that is exactly right, Amy. And I think taking what you just said about yourself and your own learning, and then being willing to show others that same grace as well, that
Yes.
and give them the opportunity to learn, it's like the best thing you can do for somebody to help them in their career and their journey and help them to really be able to impact so many other people as a leader.
Yes.
So we just have to go through this journey with our eyes wide open, ready to learn at every turn, because, it is a complicated environment that we work in, and we can't always be prepared for it,
No,
you know?
I love that. Yeah, I completely agree. There are things that
So
just
just
catch you off guard. You have to go,
that's right.
let me get back to you on that one. I don't know. Or,
Right. We learn as we go
yes,
sometimes, and that reflective practice really helps us
yeah,
to continue to grow along the journey. And I really think that's one of the most important things we can give to our newer leaders right now is help them with that
yeah,
and encourage them to do it. Because I believe if we're doing that, we're also going to be saying to them, this is a learning environment. This
right.
is where you can bring your ideas. You can be creative. We can take some calculated risks that we think are going to make an improvement, make a difference. And if we learn that it didn't, well, that's a learning. And we can just really work together to create this environment where people do feel free, where
Mhm.
there isn't any fear, but instead it's about, engagement and fulfillment in our
Yes,
roles. And
right.
boy, I think in an environment like that, that's when our patients are going to get the very best care. And
Absolutely.
they're going to feel it. They're
Yes.
going to know they are somewhere special when the team that takes care of them is being cared for and
Yes.
is free to bring their perspective and ideas
Right.
and be heard. They're
Right.
going to feel it, and
Bring
it
their best
will
selves.
make a difference.
For sure. For sure. Well, I love this. This has been a great conversation today. Thank you so much. And any closing thoughts as you want to wrap up today? Any final
Gosh,
nuggets that we haven't had a
Amy,
chance?
I guess, a closing thought would just be to embrace change within yourself. Make a change in the way you do things. Make a change in um, how you treat yourself. We spoke about self-compassion. Focus in on that and make a change there to
Yeah.
treat yourself more like you would your best friend. And when it comes to leading others, make a change, go and take the assessment and see where you have opportunity to really focus in on leading in a relational approach where
Yeah.
you can co-create this environment where our outcomes are going to emerge. That's what is going to make a difference if we all make one or two changes.
Yeah.
And so I hope that, through our conversation, I hope our listeners have been able to take away that human-centered leadership in healthcare is not an initiative or a program. It's a way of turning managers into leaders and
Right.
equipping them and empowering them to embrace the influence they have at the bedside to create this culture where we get these outcomes that we want for our staff, for our patients, and for our communities.
Absolutely. I love that. And, that's why I do this podcast because these are skills that you can learn. They take practice.
Absolutely.
You're going to stumble around a little bit, but you can learn these things and it can make such a difference. I just dropped off my youngest child at college this year. And I told her, I said, a lot of people are going to tell you you're here to find yourself. You're not hidden in some corner. There's no place that you're hidden away somewhere. You're here, and your journey is to create yourself. And
Mhm.
that's what you do. You create who you are, who you want to be. by learning and practicing those things. So this is such a great approach, and I just really appreciate your time today. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you, Amy. And of course, if anyone would like, you can certainly contact us through our website or through email team@uleadership.com.
Perfect. And I will make sure to include those links, and that way you can get to the free assessment as well as to the team if you want to reach out in the show notes here on Spotify. So thank you
Amy,
again.
it's a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.